Alright guys, welcome to What If Cell Went Too Far Back. I have a few ideas for this series, but I really don't know how it's gonna go. So, with all that being said, let's just get to it. It all starts as Cell kills Trunks. He did it. Even though the androids were defeated, Trunks is dead, and with Trunks' death, he can finally go back in time. He can go back and take the androids. However, as Cell looks, the time, it's not set. He killed Trunks before he can set the time. He can barely see it because of how big he is. So, Cell tries to guess the timeline, but he hits a few wrong buttons here and there. So then he turns to a larval state, and the time machine goes back in time. However, it goes back way before Dragon Ball even starts, 2 years. Eventually, Larva would turn into his normal form, but as he looked around, something wasn't right. He couldn't sense very powerful energy like he should have. Cell began to walk through the woods, but then he found a baby crying. He decided he would absorb it, eat it, get its power. Babies may not have a lot of energy, but they have something. But as he looked, it was baby Goku. Cell was shocked. He went way too far back in time. What was he gonna do now? There wasn't really much for Cell to do. He was angry, and when he came out of the time machine, it broke it. He was stuck here. But then he had an idea. If he could erase Goku, he could turn him into a killing machine, and he can cause so much havoc, the Red Ribbon Army will make the androids. That's the only thing he could do, but he was still so hungry. He was tempted to absorb Goku as hunger was telling him to, but he couldn't. Suddenly, he would hear an old man walking towards him. It was Grandpa Gohan. But before he could even say anything, he ran at Grandpa, stabbing him with his tail. Grandpa Gohan shot a ki blast and tried to resist, but he couldn't do much, as Cell just absorbed him. As he felt the power and energy go into him, and he felt his hunger be sucked in a bit. He then picked up baby Goku, deciding to raise him. As Cell began to absorb animal after animal, being after being into the woods, he hid his energy. He didn't want Kami to notice him. Goku was going to have to be the one to cause all this death and destruction. Goku will be the face of his plan. He has to remain in the shadows for this to work, for Dr. Gero to build the androids. This was going to be perfect. If he could raise Goku and turn him into a monster, the entire world would fear him, and the androids will definitely be built. And he can use them as bait to lure in the Saiyans to absorb them when the time is right. So was excited. As he began to absorb animal after animal, creature after creature, rumors about the woods came through the entire world. Everyone was scared of it. There was rumors of a monster that ate you. Years would pass, and Cell would begin to raise Goku until he became a kid and he could train him. As Cell began to train, he would then break his bones so they would heal back and would get a Zenkai boost. He would put him through grueling training. And Cell would teach Goku that strength is everything. Strength is the only thing that matters. And Cell at first was just using Goku as a tool, but he's really bonded with him, even though he would never admit it. Raising Goku and training him, it's given Cell a new purpose. After all, Cell can't really become perfect, so there's not much to do but to talk to Goku and raise him and train him. And training, even though it doesn't give Cell huge gains, it does give him gains every once in a while. And Goku gets massive gains from it. But Cell was made from Piccolo. He was made from Goku. He was made from these good people. So even though he was evil, he did have a soft spot for Goku. Training with him, being with him all this time, it did begin to grow on him, even though he would never admit it. One day, Cell would look at Goku and say, "It's time. You are ready to cause havoc, but first, I want you to bring me Master Roshi. I want to absorb him. You defeating him will be a test." Goku would nod and say, "Yes, it's father." As Goku began to run out of the woods, he would begin to go in search of Kame's house. Since Cell trained Goku, Goku would be able to fly. As Goku would go to the ocean and begin to fly over to Kame's house. As he landed, Master Roshi looked at him. He must be one of Shin's pupils since he's able to fly. But he's a kid and he's coming to him. Does that mean maybe he's got some sense into him and decided to leave Shin and train under him. Goku looked up at Master Roshi as Master Roshi looked down at him. "Ah, kid, you look excited. Are you ready?" But then, Goku punched Master Roshi straight in the face. Master Roshi then got up and said, "What is the meaning of this? I'm here to bring you back to Father. He will kill you." Father? Master Roshi thought he was talking about Shin. Shin has really gone to the dark side. He's gone this far to train a child to kill him. Master Roshi then went into his buff form and began to fight Goku. But no matter how buff Master Roshi was, no matter what he did, he could not win. Goku trained under Imperfect Cell, and even though Imperfect Cell was not the strongest Cell to say the least, he was way stronger than anyone in OG Dragon Ball. Master Roshi would try to fight, but Goku would simply beat him back, breaking his arms. As Master Roshi fell to the floor and began to cry out in pain, "Please, please don't," but Goku just grabbed him and began to drag him as he flew up into the sky. Master Roshi couldn't do anything. His arms were broken. He began to kick, squeal, do anything to try to move, but he couldn't. As he was dragged into a deep, dark cave, he heard footsteps. As he felt a hand grab him and a weird voice speak. It didn't sound human. Cell would say, "Good, very good. He will do quite nicely." Suddenly, Master Roshi felt a sharp pain as Cell stabbed him and began to absorb all his insides. Master Roshi screamed in pain as he felt all of his blood, all of his guts go into Cell, and Cell get all of his energy. Cell was excited. This burst of power made him stronger. Master Roshi was a fly compared to him, but sometimes even a fly can taste good if you're hungry enough. Cell really enjoyed this. So, then he had another task for him. He told Goku to go and destroy made Red Ribbon bases, but he told him not to destroy one. He knew one of them had Dr. Gero, so he didn't want that one destroyed. The rest will be completely destroyed. Anyone who seems strong, he'll be brought to him. Goku nodded as he began to go out and destroy these Red Ribbon bases. As all that was going on, we cut to Kami. He would hear footsteps on the lookout. As he turned around, it was Imperfect Cell. Kami was shocked. "So, you're the one, the monster in the forest. You have to be. What are you doing here?" Imperfect Cell laughed and says, "Glad I gained somewhat of a reputation. I was thinking about keeping you alive for the Dragon Balls, but I can just use the Namekian ones to wish for Goku to have eternal youth, and I'll wait for him to prove his loyalty before that." Imperfect Cell was like, "Sorry. I ramble on to people. A bad habit since I only talk to Goku ever. Anyway, I guess I should just take care of this instead of telling you everything." His tail began to open wide as Kami shot a ki blast right in Cell's face, thinking it would do something, but it did nothing. As Cell laughed, "Is that the best you got? I wish you were a bit stronger, but your strength will have to do." He then began to push Kami down to the floor. As Kami tried to punch him, as Kami tried to move, he tried to do everything, but he didn't. As Kami yelled out, "Stop, stop, stop, stop! Please, please! I am the Guardian, you can't!" But Cell simply absorbed him as the power coursed through his veins. Then he looked at Mr. Popo. I always wondered how strong you were." Suddenly, Imperfect Cell's tail would begin to open up as he absorbed Mr. Popo too. We cut back to Goku, who was attacking a Red Ribbon Army base. General Blue would charge at him, but Goku would simply kick him down, destroying the tanks and knocking out General Blue. He would then drag him to Cell's cave. Cell would be back at the cave as Cell absorbed him. Goku would bring him worthy warrior after worthy warrior, weak androids, and many other. Cell would hide in his cave, however, because he knew Dr. Gero wouldn't look there. He hid from Dr. Gero, and he used Goku to feed him supplements to get stronger, to get more powerful. As Goku completely demolished the Red Ribbon Army, Cell then told Goku to stop attacking them. He knew that now that the Red Ribbon Army was mostly demolished, and Dr. Gero should still be alive, and should make the androids to stop him. Everything was going as planned, but Cell had an idea. What if Goku took over the world and forced people to go into his cave? He can create a mass food source for Cell, like a farm. He could conquer the world and turn the population into a farm. Now this would be an interesting idea. Years have passed. Goku is fully grown and he rules the world. Well, kinda. Cell doesn't really care what he does, as long as he gives him people. Cells turn the population into cattle. As Goku gives human sacrifice to Cell, as humans go in the cave, no one returns. As all these years pass, Raditz would eventually arrive on Earth. But as he arrived, he looked around. At first, he was angry that Goku let this planet stay alive, but then he saw statues of him and concluded he took over the world. Then he was a bit proud. I mean, he still was a bit ticked off that he didn't wipe everyone out like his mission said, but he took over the world, which is pretty impressive. So it seems like he is a Saiyan, so Raditz couldn't be too mad. As Raditz began to fly around, he would eventually find Kakarot and land beside him. Kakarot! Goku would look over at him and smile. Cell told him about Raditz, and he knows what's gonna happen. So to me to talk. So, Kakarot, you ready to join us? Yeah, but I have something for us. Something that could come really in handy in the future. Raditz would look at Kakarot intrigued. Oh? Well, show me. As Goku would bring him into a cave, suddenly he would see Cell. Raditz would say, "What the hell is that thing?" "Hello, Raditz. I've been waiting for you for so long. I've been eating all these humans, but they're so weak and pathetic. You're not that strong yourself, but you're better. You'll be a much tastier meal for me." As Cell looked at him, licking his lips, Raditz looked at him uncomfortable. Raditz has fought many people throughout the universe, and even though he was pretty weak, he still was a warrior. However, he's never seen anything like this, but that wouldn't deter Raditz. Raditz would look at him and say, "Get the hell away from me." Imperfect Cell would laugh and say, "I like that attitude. It makes it more fun." Raditz hit him with a double Sunday and began to fly away, but then Cell would appear in front of him and punch him down to the floor. Raditz would say, "Don't do it. Whatever you're gonna do, beast. I am the mighty Raditz. You can't." Cell would then say, "Shut up. You're the weakest on your team. You're nothing but a little pathetic Saiyan. A Saiyan that can't match the others. A low-class runt that can't do anything. And you're gonna die. And no one will remember you. And no one will even care that you're dead." Raditz got angrier and angrier as he blasted another key blast and another key blast, but it did nothing. As Cell slowly walked more and more towards him, Raditz began to fly away, but then he felt a hand grab him and in a sharp pain in his spine. As Cell began to stab Raditz and absorb all of his energy, as Cell then fell to the floor and began to get sucked up. As he screamed in pain and agony, Cell said, "Shh, it's over. You served your purpose to feed me." As he died, Cell then smirked as he looked over at Goku and says, "Goku, I have a little opposition for you." Goku would look at Imperfect Cell and say, "What is that?" "I want you to stay on this planet and rule it, and make sure Dr. Gero's still alive. As I will go away, I will absorb Frieza and his soldiers and become so much stronger. Then I'll bring a space pod back and you could take over his empire. I don't really care about it. All I want are the juicy soldiers and sacrifices." He began to lick his lips. Cell became tired of this planet. This planet had so weak people on it. The more powerful someone was, the more tasty they were, and he needed that power. He needed the taste. Goku would nod as Cell began to go to Raditz's space pod and would launch off into space. As Cell went deeper and deeper into space, eventually he would land on one of Frieza's planets. He would get out, as all the Frieza soldiers would look at him and surround him. "What race are you?" But then he would just stab one, absorbing them. The Frieza soldiers fought against Cell, but Cell has become a lot stronger. He's been training with Goku and been absorbing man after man, woman after woman, person after person. His power has been growing. Even if it didn't grow, Cell would still be more powerful than any of these soldiers. Cell began to absorb man after man. He absorbed all of them, absorbing the entire planet. As then he looked at where Frieza's capital planet was, and he got a spaceship. He also sent a space pod back to Earth so Goku can leave anytime he wants. After that, he got into a space pod and began to go towards Frieza's capital planet. We cut to Frieza. Frieza heard about one of his planets. Everyone there was killed, and they were all sucked up. Nothing but their clothes was left. Frieza was confused. He didn't know what kind of attack could that be. Maybe it was some sort of weapon. Frieza kept Zordon and Dodoria near him at all times. He kept all of his mostly elite soldiers near him, except for the Ginyu Force. The Ginyu Force were busy out on other missions. However, as Frieza decided to stay at his capital, make sure it was safe, suddenly explosions would be heard, screams would be heard. As Frieza walked out, he saw him Cell. As Cell looked at Frieza, Frieza would look at him, as he would say, Zarbon to Doria, take care of it. As they both charged at Cell, Cell would move so fast he couldn't even see him. As suddenly, he grabbed Zarbon and stabbed him and began to absorb him. As he screamed out in pain, anger, he slowly got sucked into nothingness. Then he did the same thing to Dodoria. Frieza would now know how that happened, and Cell would continue to walk up towards him. You're gonna die, Frieza. I know all about you. I'm a part of you after all. What are you talking about? I'm from the future. A long time ago from now, someone would make someone out of the DNA of all the strongest fighters in the universe. That includes you. I have all the power in your final form, and I know about it. You might as well go into it. It's the only way you stand a chance. Even then, though, it's a 1% chance at most. Cell began to laugh, as Frieza looked at him annoyed and angry. Was he really from the future? He knew so much about him, and his power, it seemed amazing. He could just absorb people. He's never seen anything like it before. He thought about going to his second or third form to test him, but Frieza decided to go all out since this guy was a little disturbing, to say the least. As he went into his final form, Cell would say, so delicious. I can feel the power coming off of you. You will make a tasty snack. Frieza says, I'm the Emperor of the Universe, not a snack, as he charged and punched Imperfect Cell. But it did nothing, as Imperfect Cell looked down at him and said, Emperor or not, you're just a snack to me. To his final form, and he tried to blast Cell, hit Cell, but no matter what he did, it did nothing. Cell would just look at him, not even injured. Frieza would scream, this is impossible, I'm the Emperor of the Universe! He would pull out some Death Slicers and throw them right at Cell, but as they hit him, it did nothing. Just like the Destructo Disc did nothing, and Cannon. Frieza began to scream, damn it, damn it, damn it! Frieza then began to charge a Ki Blast as Cell appeared behind him. Are you gonna blow up the planet? I can breathe in space too. I just used a space pod, so I knew what direction it was in, because I didn't really know this universe too well. Cell then grabbed Frieza by the neck and began to choke him, as then he stabbed him with his tail. Frieza then blasted him with a death beam after death beam, beam after beam, Ki Blast after Ki Blast, punch after punch, but it did nothing as Cell slowly absorbed Frieza. Frieza would scream in fear and agony. This is the first time he was afraid in his entire life. As Frieza felt the sharp pain, as he felt all of his organs being sucked away, he slowly died. As Cell took all of his power, it was so delicious. He's never tasted someone that powerful before. He's been used to eating flies, but Frieza wasn't like anything like that before. Frieza was like a lizard, a nice lizard, a snack like he's never experienced in his entire life. As Cell felt all the new energy coursing through his veins. Before he left, he went into the spaceship, and he didn't really know how things worked, but he needed Vegeta and Nappa to show up, so he decided just to call all elite soldiers there. And as they went to the planet, they saw Frieza's dead corpse. Cell absorbed everything except for his head. As he picked up Frieza's head, he shielded around to everyone, saying, I am Cell. I will lead you. And I have a little helper to help me. But I need to see Nappa and Vegeta. As Nappa and Vegeta looked, they were shocked. Someone killed Frieza, and now he was the new ruler. He looked at him and said, You're Saiyans, right? I heard a lot about your race, and I admire their hard work. You all will be my right-hand man. Nappa would smirk. He was excited to be promoted. Vegeta was too, but he also didn't trust Cell. After all, he didn't know who the hell he was. And Frieza was seen to be the strongest in the entire universe. And he showed up and killed him and just took everything over. So, not like he trusted him, but it's not like he had a choice. So they agreed. As then Cell began to get out and fly into space. As he flew towards Earth, he knew where Earth was. He had a rough idea, at least. And it wouldn't take too long for him to find it, since he knew the solar system pretty well. When he was in the space pod, Cell was looking around and remembered the path he took to get here, so he just had to fly in that path, and he would go to Earth. Everything was going as planned.
And not too long after this, only a few years, and the androids will finally be made, and he can finally become perfect. He can finally reach his dream.
Cell have just taken over Frieza's empire. It's been a few months, and he wants Goku and Vegeta and Nappa to all have Super Saiyan, so he would call them all to his quarters. As they all walked up to him, Vegeta and Nappa were confused, thinking that they were in trouble. They also didn't know much about Kakarot. He was his right-hand man, even though he was a Saiyan from Earth. How did he get so strong if he's from Earth? They didn't really know. Cell would look at him and say, "I want all of you to train intensely. I built a gravity room with my specialists, so you will all go and train in there until you can unlock Super Saiyan." Vegeta would look at him and say, "Super Saiyan's just a legend." Cell would walk up to Vegeta and then look straight in his face and say, "No, it is not. Super Saiyan is more than just a legend. It's a reality, and it's the reality that you'll have, Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, and soon to be a Super Saiyan." Vegeta was intrigued by this promise. He didn't really know much about Cell, but Cell knew so much about him. Every time he talked to him, every time he had a conversation with him, he knew exactly what Vegeta was thinking. It was like Cell could read him like a book. It angered Vegeta, but at the same time, it made Vegeta feel close to Cell. Not as a friend, of course not, but as a superior. Vegeta, Nappa, and Goku all went into the gravity room and began to train like they never trained before. They got Zenkais after Zenkai, battle after battle. Kakarot was so far ahead of him. This pissed Vegeta off. He should be the strongest. He's the Prince of all Saiyans. Nappa and Vegeta's power continued to rise. As Cell began to walk away, he thought to himself, "If they can turn Super Saiyan and stay loyal, I wish for all of them to have eternal youth. With them by my side, I shall rule the universe." Cell really didn't care about ruling the universe, but he ruled it for snacks, so he can use people like livestock. Once he becomes perfect, he really doesn't know what he's going to do with his empire. Maybe he'll do some fun things like tournaments and other stuff. He really doesn't know. As the months passed, nothing really changed. The Saiyans hit their head against the wall, but no matter how hard they trained, no matter how hard they fought, they wouldn't turn into a Super Saiyan. Vegeta could feel the frustration. He was told to do something impossible, told to achieve something that has been achieved for 1,000 years, if it was even real. On top of that, he has to listen to Cell, someone above him that he doesn't even know, someone who just randomly killed Frieza one day. Vegeta is the Prince of all Saiyans, but he has no heir to rule, no planet to take over. As a year passed, this began to build up in Vegeta until he began to scream. The entire room shook as his hair turned yellow and he achieved Super Saiyan. Vegeta smirked, saying, "I did it. I am the Prince of all Saiyans, Vegeta, and a Super Saiyan." But then Imperfect Cell walked in.
Cell would say, "I'm proud of you, Vegeta. Be honest, I expected my star pupil, Kakarot, to achieve this." Goku looked at Cell angrily, just hearing that. He wanted to be the best. And, well, having Vegeta unlock it first made him upset. This made him angry. Cell could see this. So then he pointed at Kakarot. "I bet he can unlock it if you fight him. Push him with everything you have. You're allowed to injure him any way you want, just don't kill him." Vegeta would look at Cell and say, "My pleasure." As Vegeta would charge in, punching Goku straight in the stomach, breaking some of his ribs. Goku would then kick him. Goku wasn't helpless. He was able to fight, for sure, but Vegeta was just far too powerful. He began to beat up on Kakarot. Nappa would watch and would try to get involved, but Cell said, "No, don't get involved. Vegeta doesn't need your help." I was gonna get involved to help. Neither does Kakarot, Imperfect Cell would say. "Just watch. Soon you'll unlock it after them. For you, I have a different technique in mind."
"What's that?" Nappa said. Cell would say, "Well, you're an old man. You're more intent with life, and that's fine. It'll be harder for you to unlock Super Saiyan, so I'll just use something else for you." Cell then thought in his head he could just use the Namekian Dragon Balls. However, he's never been to Namek before, and even though this could be a challenge, he believes he could do it. Vegeta and Kakarot both pushing each other further and further, or at least Vegeta was pushing Kakarot. Kakarot was getting beat up. His hands were getting bloody. His body was getting destroyed. He couldn't do anything. But then he began to scream. He began to yell as he pushed through all of his anger, pushed through all of his passion, pushed through all of his strength, and eventually became a Super Saiyan. Even though Kakarot should have a higher power level, now that he's Super Saiyan, he still lost since Vegeta beat him up quite badly. But after that,
Cell would then begin to head off to Namek. He looked at the coordinates to see where Namek was, then he began to fly. As he flew through space, he got closer and closer to Namek until he landed. As he landed, he began to look around, and he saw the Namekians in their villages. Cell walked up to a village and said, "I'm not hungry for you, so just give me the Dragon Ball, there won't be any trouble." The Namekians were scared. They never sensed anything like Cell before.
Since he was made of the DNA of so many different people, his power didn't feel like one, it felt like so many. It felt like so many others mixed into one person. The Namekians refused, so Cell began to eat them and absorb them. As he got a Dragon Ball, he went to village, getting Dragon Ball after Dragon Ball, asking them everything he knows about them. Eventually, Cell would learn about the password and would learn that Dende had it. Cell would begin to search for Dende until he eventually found them, grabbing him. Dende would cry out, scream in pain and anger, but he couldn't do anything as Cell took him and began to keep him. "I will keep you alive since you have the password." After he got Dragon Ball after Dragon Ball, eventually he would go to Nail. Nail would try to defeat Cell, but he was no match. Cell would defeat him, and eventually he would summon the dragon. His wishes would be to make Goku, Vegeta, and Nappa have eternal youth, Nappa to achieve Super Saiyan, and for his final wish, he could wish for perfection, but where's the fun in that? He's been waiting for so long, he can already just go and take it when it happens. He decided to have an interesting wish. He wished that he could see the future, and Porunga granted his wish. As he would get visions in the future every once in a while, Cell would then head off and wait. As the years passed, finally it was time to go to Earth. Finally, Dr. Gero should have created the androids. Cell would hide his power and go on Earth. Earth has been ruled by Kakarot for quite a while now, and whenever Kakarot left, he would put Pilaf as Chancellor. The Red Ribbon Army, what was left of them, got angry, so they decided to make the androids. Cell waited and waited on South City until finally they appeared. They started to destroy building after building, person after person, but then they heard footsteps. As they turned around, it was Cell. Both of them were shocked. What are you?" "I'm the one who raised Goku, and I'm the one who's gonna kill you." Suddenly, Vegeta and Nappa both appeared down. Cell would look and say, "You see them? They are stronger than you, and soon I'll be stronger than them." "Stronger than anyone. I will become perfect, the perfect ruler of the universe." 17 was getting sick of Cell, so he charged and punched Cell right in the face, but it did nothing as Cell kicked him down to the floor. Cell would look at him and say, "Don't be rude to your brother," as he began to lick his lips. This disgusted 17 as he got up and hit him with a massive ki blast, but it did nothing. As Cell simply walked forward, 17 would say, "How? I'm supposed to be the strongest in the universe. I was built by Dr. Gero. I have to be the strongest. I need to be the strongest." Cell would say, "Shut up. Stop your whining." As then 18 would punch Cell, but it did nothing. As then Cell would absorb 17. As 18 fell back, she looked up. You bastard! How could you do this?" Cell would say, "Tis, tis, tis," as he went into his semi-perfect form. "You really say that to your own brother? Calling me a monster? Calling me weird? That hurts my feelings. You should be proud. You should be happy to join me. You should be happy to become perfect." Vegeta and Nappa looked confused and shocked. They felt Cell's power level rise like it's never risen before. He's absorbed people before, but never has it reached a gain like this. But Goku would smirk. He's wanted this for so long. His entire life he's been waiting for it, and soon he's gonna get it. As 18 began to fly away, Goku would fly up and punch her down. As then, Cell would look at her, as his tail began to embellish her. As he absorbed her, he felt his new power skyrocket, as he felt himself become perfect. However, then he would look and say, "You can come on out, Trunks. You didn't think I would know about you coming to this timeline?" Trunks would walk out and say, "I went to this timeline, everything was so different. Part of me didn't even want to go back, but I had to give it a shot. What happened?" Cell would say, "You want to know what happened to this place? Well, I'm from a timeline where you destroyed the androids and saved the day. However, there was something wrong. I couldn't absorb them, so I killed you and went back in time. However, I went back way too far
to when Goku was first born, so I raised him as my own, and I took over the universe, turning planets into farms, waiting to absorb 17 and 18. Now, finish him. Finish Trunks. Goku, Vegeta, and Nappa would all turn Super Saiyans. They charged at Trunks. Trunks was stronger, but he couldn't handle 3 Super Saiyans all at once. As they all rushed in, began to beat him up, began to surround him. Eventually, Trunks would get angrier and angrier and angrier as he put all of his power into his body, unlocking a buff form. And at first, it was working, but eventually, stamina would run out and he couldn't hit him. As Trunks would fall to the floor, Vegeta would blast a hole in his chest, killing him, not even knowing Trunks was his son. Cell would laugh at the irony, not telling him. As Cell would say, good, now, let's continue to get stronger.
We cut to the Saiyans. They were all training to get stronger, training to get better, training to evolve themselves. No matter how hard they trained, they would never be as strong as Cell. Cell himself did train too. He did have some of Frieza's potential, but it wasn't nearly enough to reach gold or anything crazy just by training. However, Cell would remember something. He had the power to see the future, and every once in a while he would see visions of a pink blob, a pink guy named Boo, who would attack them all. He'd be ready to fight Boo. He would also have visions of him turning things into candy, visions of him splitting in half. All these visions gave Cell ideas of what powers Boo would have. As the months passed, eventually, one day after so long, Cell would have a vision of Supreme Kai coming to him, and soon enough it did happen. As Cell was on his throne, talking to the Saiyans, Supreme Kai Shin walked up to him. Cell would smirk and say, "Oh, Shin, it's you." Shin would look and say, "How do you know my name?" "A long-time guy wished to see the future. I know what you're here about. You're here for Majin Buu." Shin would nod and say, "Yes. Do you know where he's going to show up?" Cell would say, "No, I have visions, but I can't control when it happens." Shin would then tell everyone where Majin Buu was going to show up, somewhere on Earth. Babidi trapped him there. And Earth was the planet where Cell came from, and a planet where Goku came from. So, I hope it's important to them. If not, Buu will threaten the entire universe anyway. So they all nodded and began to... As they all landed on Earth, they began to follow Shin. Shin knew where they were at. As they followed them, Cell would start to think, what can I do now? Surely Majin Buu can't be that powerful. He's just a pink blob, right? The visions say he's awoken. Cell had an idea. His plan was to give Bobby enough energy so he can awaken Majin Buu. Cell hasn't really had a good fight in such a long time. As long as he doesn't get turned into candy, he could probably win. As Cell, Shin, and the others all landed, they began to look down upon Babidi and his minions. As suddenly, one of them was hiding their key as they would charge towards Goku, and Goku would turn around and blow him up. As then, Deborah would show up and try to spin on all of them after killing Kibito, but they all dodged and Cell kicked them down to the floor as he looked. "So you're the mighty Demon King, tell me, do you demons feel fear?" Cell would say, smirking, as Deborah looked up at him and say, "Cocky bastard, I'll show you what true fear really is." As then he flew into the spaceship, so did Babidi and his minions. So Cell and the rest of them went after him. Shin said, "Wait, it's obviously a trap." Cell would say, "No, duh, I don't care. Trap or not, we're gonna go right through it. Because I'm the perfect bee and nothing can stop me." As then they all jumped down. Cell then got a vision of Goku going Majin. And this excited Cell. Cell would go and start to talk to Goku privately. Goku would look at him and say, "Did I do something wrong, Dad?" "No." Cell would say, "I want you to let Babidi control you, at least for a bit. I need enough energy to awaken Majin Buu." Goku would say, "Why do you want that to happen?" "So I can fight him, of course. I want to fight him at his best. I want a true fight to push me. For that, I need Majin Buu to be awoken, so I want you to go Majin and begin to fight Vegeta and Nappa when the time comes." Goku would nod and agree. Goku trusted his father. Even though it seemed like a bad idea, his father raised him, and Cell was always there for him, so he had no choice but to agree, at least in his mind. Eventually, though, a fighter would appear. His name was Pui Pui. Pui Pui began to get his fist out, as Cell and the Saiyans would play rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to fight him. Shin would look at him and say, "Sure that you don't want to fight Pui Pui one by one?" And I would say, "Why not?"
It'll be fair, one-on-one fight, yeah. As they played rock, paper, scissors, Pui Pui would just watch confused. He's never been treated like this before. He's used to being treated like a warrior, not some prize that someone gets to fight. Eventually, though, Nappa won. As Nappa got ready to fight Pui Pui, Nappa turned Super Saiyan. Alright, Pui Pui, show me your true power. Pui Pui smirked and said, "You're gonna regret this," as he charged at Nappa, but Nappa just punched him straight to the floor. As he got up, Nappa just hit him again and again. And he even went out of Super Saiyan. I thought you were hiding your power. It seems like this is really all you have. That's kind of sad and pathetic. Pui Pui would yell at Nappa, saying, "Turn back!" But he couldn't. He couldn't get Nappa to turn back to his full power. Nappa wasn't taking Pui Pui seriously, and Pui Pui didn't deserve it. Eventually, though, Bobbity would transport him to his home planet to give Pui Pui an advantage. The gravity there was 10 times. Yeah, not really that impressive. If it was 100 times, maybe he'd have a chance. But 10? That's just nothing. Pui Pui would charge at Nappa. Nappa would just get tired of him, blowing him up. That takes care of that. Vegeta would say, "You should have done that before." Nappa said, "Well, I wanted to see if he was stronger in his home planet. I guess not." They all decided to go further down, as the next match was Yakon. Yakon looked scary. He was like a beast, a monster, and he had a special ability to absorb light. They didn't know who was going to fight him, so Vegeta, Goku, and Cell all played rock, paper, scissors. And, well, Vegeta won. Vegeta then smirked and said, "Let me show you the power of the Prince of all Saiyans," as Yakon looked down at Vegeta, ready to devour him. As it turned dark, Vegeta would still punch him, saying his breathing and his terrible smell give him away. This would piss Yakon off, as then Vegeta turned Super Saiyan. Yakon would absorb the power. That's when Vegeta had an idea. As we turned Super Saiyan again and again and again, as Yakon got more and more power, he got fatter and fatter and fatter until he blew up. This caused Bobbity to shake in fear. His minions were dying one by one. The only person that could stop him is Dabura. He had to find someone who could help him, but who? As Dabura went out to fight Cell, Bobbity had an idea. He could mind control one of them. At first, he would try to take Vegeta since he was the prince, but Vegeta wouldn't let him, and this timeline he stayed strong and didn't let him mind control him. Cell would see this as he was fighting Dabura and actually be proud of Vegeta. Then he would try Nappa, but that failed. Then he would try Goku, desperately, panicking, but Goku let him. Goku let him in so he could fight Vegeta and Nappa and get enough energy for Cell. As he began to scream in agony, scream in pain, an M appeared on his forehead. Then he punched Vegeta straight to the floor. As Vegeta got up and began to fight him, so did Nappa. Nappa and Vegeta fought Goku, as Goku then turned Super Saiyan 3, showing off a new form, a form he unlocked through the Majin power-up. This shocked everyone, including Cell. As Cell looked on, proud, he then looked at Dabura. "Alright, I don't really need you anymore, Dabura. I think you got enough energy for Majin Buu." "Got enough energy? What do you mean?" Cell says, "I want him to be reawakened so I can have a challenge." Dabura would then look at Cell. "You're crazy." "Maybe I am, but at least I'm not dead." Cell then began to charge a Kamehameha. As Dabura tried to spit on Cell, he would simply dodge it and shoot Dabura straight in the face, killing him instantly. As he fell to the floor, Cell could then go after Bobbity, but he didn't. He decided to watch. He watched as Goku fought Nappa and Vegeta and began to win, and more energy was being put in. As Bobbity finally got enough to awaken Majin Buu, Goku then kicked Vegeta to the floor, as then he fell down, passing out and using too much stamina. Cell would say, "Seems like he has a stamina drain, too bad." Nappa would say, "He betrayed us." "No, I told him to do that." Shin would say, "Why the hell would you do that?" "Because I wanted Majin Buu to be awakened. I wanted someone to challenge me. I wanted a good fight." Cell would then laugh. As suddenly, Bobbity would come out with Majin Buu, as Cell would get ready to fight. He's been waiting for this forever. A fighter who can challenge him, a fighter who can push him, and a fighter that can bring him to his limits. The Saiyans were shocked on what Majin Buu looked like, but Cell wasn't. Cell began to fight Majin Buu. Even though Majin Buu wasn't the smartest, he had a great fighting technique, and he could learn any abilities by seeing it once. He also had many different unique abilities. Cell was having a good time. But Bobbity kept yelling at Buu to finish him and do that and do this. Eventually, Cell got tired of that and said, "Hey, Buu, why do you let that guy boss you around? Because he can seal Buu away." Cell then grabbed Bobbity by the throat, saying, "Here, you can't talk, so he can't seal you away." Boo says, "You a genius," as Boo then killed Bobbity. As then Cell and Boo began to battle. Cell was extremely powerful since he's been training ever since he's been perfect. But Majin Buu was also very powerful, and Majin Buu was actually giving Cell a good workout. Majin Buu wasn't a threat to Cell, but he enjoyed fighting him, and they both actually had fun. Cell then had an idea. "Hey Boo, you're having fun, right?" "Yes, Boo, have fun." "Then why don't you join me? We can have fun, we can fight together, and you can help me out, and we can play fun games." Boo thought about it. He agreed. He agreed to join Cell. It looks like Cell had a new friend, and everything was going just well. We cut to Beerus. It's been years since Boo arrived, and Cell's been training with Boo, getting much stronger. Beerus would be having a dream about a golden warrior. A golden warrior and a Super Saiyan god. These two people began to challenge Beerus, pushing him further and further. This dream eludes him. Eventually he would wake up, but he'd forget what it was. He would sit in his nice bath, thinking. As he continued to think, he couldn't remember what it was. He would try more and more, until he stood up from the bath, yelling, "It's a golden warrior and a Super Saiyan god!" Whis would look at him confused and say, "My lord, the water's not that deep." He would look down and get flustered as he would get back in the water. That's who I want. I want a Super Saiyan god and a golden warrior. Those are the people I am meant to fight. Whis would say, Frieza wiped out most of the Saiyans, and a golden warrior isn't that a tad, outrageous? Beerus would say, "I know what I saw." "Tell me what happened over these years." "Well, alright. Let's see. Quite a bit has happened. Frieza was killed by... Wait, what? Frieza was killed? By who?" "Well, they call him Cell. He looks like he's a bio-android of some sort, made from DNA of multiple people." As Beerus looked at him, he looked so familiar. He had to be the Golden Warrior. He says, "Are there any Saiyans left?" "Yes. Cell is in charge of the Empire and the Saiyans under him." "Interesting. I think I should pay this Cell a visit." We cut to Cell and Majin Buu. Cell and Majin Buu would be training, pushing each other. As Buu would look around, Buu could somewhat sense God Ki. And Cell's been training with Buu so much, he learned how to do it too. They both felt a weird energy far away. Cell would say, "What was that?" Buu says, "Buu don't know." As then he sat down. "But Buu want to eat." Cell would then laugh and say, "Alright, Buu." Cell would then bring Buu to a feast as he began to eat. But Cell was curious what this power was. It was so far away he probably didn't have to worry about it, but it felt weird. It didn't sense like any other ki he felt before. As Cell and Buu were both there, he tried to get his mind off of things. After all, he could go out and investigate, but Cell had everything. He had friends, he had a chance to fight every time he wanted, he had Buu, he had pretty much anything he could ever want. And if he learned how to absorb people again, he would have plenty of food. Plenty of nutrients to feed his empire. He has been thinking about trying to absorb things, but his tail is so small now, he doesn't even know if it's possible. However, the energy he felt would slowly get closer and closer. Cell would then get worried, as he would demand Vegeta, Nappa, and Goku all get their guard up. They would say, "What's happening? I sense an energy like I've never felt before. It's getting closer." They would all stand up and shake nervously, as suddenly Beerus would walk through the door. Vegeta would then begin to shake as he looked at Beerus. But Beerus would walk and say, "Very impressive, I heard about you, Cell." Cell would get a fighting stance nervously as he shook. This energy, it's nothing like he ever felt before. Beerus would say, "Relax, I'm not here to destroy you, I just want a good fight." "Well, I heard you took out Frieza. Did you kill his father as well?" Cell would say, "We looked for his father, but we couldn't find him. He was known for being a coward. No one's seen him in such a long time. He's either dead or he's hiding on some rock." Beerus would then get intrigued, but he would forget about it. After all, King Cold's really not that big of a problem. "Alright. I know about your secret form, Cell. You might as well transform." Cell looked shocked. The only person he's ever shown is Buu. And even with that form, he knew he couldn't beat Beerus. Cell would say, What are you talking about? Beerus would then give him a serious look and say, Show us right now, or I will erase you. Cell then sighed. He was holding back this power in case some of the Saiyans became a threat, or Majin Buu. But he didn't want them to know about it. He didn't want to know he was holding back. And he also thought it was kind of boring. When he didn't use that power, he could have a good time. But this guy was different. This guy was above anything he thought he knew before. And he was going to have to show his true power to even be able to compete with Beerus. As Cell sighed, he began to yell and charge up. As he charged up all of his power, as he charged up all of his strength, his skin turned gold. Cell would say, Behold my golden form. I was hiding this for someone special, fitting that it's you. Beerus would say, I'm special, huh? Oh, I'm flattered. Now, before we fight, let's get something to eat. Get out of that form. Cell then looked confused as he turned back to his base form. Are you sure? Yes, I'm famished. Once I'm done, we'll fight. Now make me a meal, Beerus would say. Cell would order his men to make Beerus some food, as Beerus and the Saiyans began to eat.
Beerus would then begin to eat and enjoyed the food quite a bit. As him and everyone else began to eat, Beerus was having the time of his life. This is some of the best food he ever had. Cell remembered Earth food and he mixed it in with other food. He wasn't in charge of the cooking since he really didn't eat or didn't need to. So, Goku and Vegeta really were the ones who were in charge of making sure food was prepared right. After enjoying the meal, Beerus got up and was ready to fight. So was Cell. Cell would turn gold as Beerus would look at him. Not bad. Now let's get this going. Cell and Beerus would begin to battle as they flew up into space. Beerus would look at Cell and say, You know what, Cell? I never really had someone like you, a bio-android. Most places they're banned to make. So you're like a rare commodity. Cell would say, Commodity? Is that all I am to you? That hurts me. I'm more than a tool. Beerus would laugh and say, I guess you are. After all, you were able to defeat Frieza, and that means something. Cell and Beerus would begin to push each other. At least Cell was pushing Beerus as much as he could, but obviously he couldn't do that much since Beerus was very powerful compared to him. But he still had a good fight. As they battled, they talked. What's that key you have? Beerus would say, What do you mean? It doesn't feel like anything else. Beerus would say, Oh, Buu has some God Ki. It seems like you picked up on that. God Ki is divine energy. But you don't even have that, and you have this power. It's amazing. Tell me, Cell, do you want to be a destroyer? Cell would say, I don't know. I just want to fight and have a good time. Beerus would say, Me too. As Beerus then began to charge a massive Ki ball. Here, I have an idea. Let's see how strong you are. As he threw it straight at Cell's capital planet. Cell looked down and actually started to get worried. Goku was there. If he messed up, Goku, the person he raised, will die. Cell flew down to the bottom and began to charge up a Kamehameha as he blasted into the Ki ball with all of his might, with all of his strength. He began to push more and more. As Beerus added a bit more of his power and pushed down. I can see the panic in your eyes. You care about someone down there, Cell. I didn't know you were the type to care after all the terrible things you've done. That's surprising. Cell then put more and more of his energy into the Kamehameha. It seems like you do have a heart. Beerus then began to push it further and further down. As it got closer and closer to Cell, Cell couldn't let Goku die. As he screamed in agony, as he screamed in pain, as he screamed in anger, he pushed the ball back with his Kamehameha, barely. Beerus then laughed and said, Well, that must have used a lot of your power. But then Cell punched him and said, Not enough to stop fighting. Beerus says, I like the way you think, Cell. As they both continued the battle, but Cell was running out of stamina, as eventually Beerus would win. Beerus would then say, Well done, Cell. You gave me a good fight. Now, Whis, I want you to take the Saiyans into a time chamber on another planet. I need you to train them to become a Super Saiyan God. Whis would nod. As Whis would bring the rest of the Saiyans out to train them with God Ki. As that was going on, we cut to King Cold. King Cold's been in hiding ever since his son died. He knew how powerful Cell was, and he knew he couldn't challenge him. So he's been training for so long to become more powerful. And he's even found a new ally. As he looks around, he's on planet Vampa. And his new ally is Broly.
Paragus would look at him and say, "Do you promise we can get our revenge?" "Yes, I will get revenge for my son, and you will get revenge on Vegeta." Paragus and King Cole would both laugh, as suddenly Paragus would begin to shake as King Cole would turn into his golden form. "This is the type of power that I required, and this is the type of power that will destroy Cell once and for all." We cut to King Cole. He had spies in the area. He was spying on them all, and he heard that all the Saiyans left. Little did he know that the Saiyans left to go train on Beerus's planet. They would leave every once in a while, but Cell was all by himself. It was finally time to destroy him. He landed his spaceship and he flew right towards the castle. As Cell looked and saw King Cole, he said, "Ah, is it the father of Frieza here for revenge? And who's this?" He pointed at Broly. He would say, "That's not important. Broly's the one who would deal with the Saiyans. I'll deal with you," he said, smirking, as suddenly King Cole turned gold. King Cole would look right at Cell, saying, "This is a form you can never reach. This is the form that is peak of my race. I've been training for so long to reach it. Now that I have it, I will defeat you and become king of the universe. It was a mistake to let my son take over. I was scared of Beerus. I was scared of everyone, but now I'm not scared of anyone with this form." Cell would look at him and pretend to shake in his boots. "Please, please forgive me. I'm sorry for killing your son. We could team up." King Cole started to consider this, but then Cell turned gold and punched him as he was distracted. King Cole then looked down as he saw Gold Cell. What is this? That's impossible." Cell would then say, "I'm made up of the DNA of the strongest fighters in the universe. That includes you and your son. Besides, everything you can do, I can do better. I guess you're wondering, why didn't your spies tell you about it?" "I figured you had spies in this empire. That's why I only showed my golden form off to people around me who I could trust. And I whipped it out when I absolutely had to. I was hiding my forms, biding my time, waiting for the perfect time for you to show up so I could kill you." King Cole and Cell would both begin the battle, but Cell's had the golden form longer. King Cole had a lot of potential, but it was nothing like his son. King Cole then felt himself getting beat up. As he started to panic, he said, "Broly, get involved." Broly would then charge at Cell. As this was going on, we cut to Goku and Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta and Nappa were all training. As they all decided to sit down after a hard time of training, and we showed them what was going on with Cell. Every once in a while, they would check in on him to make sure nothing bad was happening, and they saw King Cole was there. King Cole and Broly. They were interested in this other Saiyan. They was also interested in King Cole's new golden form. It looked like Cell's golden form. They decided they would all go back. As Goku, Nappa, and Vegeta all hitched a ride with Whis, Cell was still fighting Broly and King Cole. King Cole was a pushover, but Broly kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Cell realized he had to take him out right here, right now. But then King Cole grabbed Cell with all of his might as Broly hit Cell, and then King Cole began to laugh. "With Broly on my side, I can't lose. Broly's my ace in the hole." But then suddenly Broly punched him as King Cole yelled at Broly, but it did nothing. Broly was out of control. Broly was attacking everything in sight. As then Cell began to laugh, King Cole would look at him and says, "Why are you laughing? I have achieved the same form you have, and Broly's even more powerful than you. I should be the one laughing." Cell then looks and says, "You can't even control him. Matter of fact, I think the best way for you to die is to watch your own warrior kill you." A bit ironic. Cell then put 2 fingers on his head. King Cole says, "What are you doing?" "Just a little trick I learned from Yardrat," as he entered transmission away. As he did this, Cell was gone, and the only person there was King Cole, so Broly began to beat him up. King Cole was a bit stronger than Broly, but the more he fought, the stronger Broly got. And Broly began to demolish King Cole. He began to beat him up. King Cole started to beg for his mercy. "Please, please, Broly, I'll give you a planet, a galaxy, anything." But Broly wasn't listening. Broly didn't care. Broly was a mindless beast that only cared about one thing, and that was destruction. As King Cole continued to beg, Broly ripped off one of his arms. As he fell to the floor and began to cry in pain, he felt his blood pouring out of his body. Then Broly pushed him down and stepped on his neck, snapping it as he died. As this was going on, we cut to Cell. Cell teleported straight to Majin Buu. "Hey, you've been doing good." Majin Buu has become fit, and he's trained with Cell quite a bit, so he's pretty powerful. Cell would say, "You were the only one who could keep up with my golden form for quite a while. I have an idea. Do you want to fight someone fun?" Boo would look at Cell and say, "Yeah." As Cell would teleport Majin Buu away to Broly, as Majin Buu would then begin to fight Broly and hold him off. Majin Buu had great potential, and Majin Buu trained for quite a bit, so he was very strong. However, he still wasn't strong enough to defeat Broly, but with his regeneration ability and other abilities, he was definitely able to hold him off. Eventually, though, Nappa, Vegeta, and Goku would all show up. As Cell would say, "Hold him off, I have an idea." Goku would say, "What's your idea?" "Let's just say it's fun to change things up a bit." As then Cell instant transmissioned away. Broly would look at them all and continued to yell as he charged at all of them. He didn't have his shock collar either. It seems like King Cole removed it. It didn't matter. As Broly fought them all, Goku turned to blue, so did Vegeta, so did Nappa. All of them were blue, and Majin Buu was thin. They all continued to battle him. From every side, from every angle, they pushed Broly back. But each time they pushed him, each time they hit him, his strength only grew stronger and stronger and stronger. Eventually, he punched Nappa straight into the floor. As Nappa got up, his arm was broken. Vegeta and Goku then charged a Gallic Gun and a Kamehameha right into his face, but it did nothing. Both of them were starting to get wore out. The more they fought, the more tired they got. As all this was going on, we cut to Cell. As he walks up to Captain Ginyu, "I have a job for you." Ginyu looked at him and posed and says, "What is that?" Cell was embarrassed by the Ginyu Force. Even though he heard Captain Ginyu had the ability to change bodies, that was just a rumor. He didn't know if it was true. And, well, with all that going on, he sent them on mission after mission far away from his empire. He was embarrassed by their poses, he was embarrassed by the way they got things done, and he didn't see them as true warriors. However, now was the time to try things out. Cell would look at Captain Ginyu and say, "Is the rumor about you changing bodies true?" Captain Ginyu would look at him and look around and say, "Yes, it is. I need you to take someone's body, someone so strong it could destroy your entire empire." Captain Ginyu would then get excited, as he says, "Sounds like a plan." As then Cell instant transmission Captain Ginyu to Broly. Broly would look around. As Captain Ginyu saw this, he saw the carnage. He saw Goku, Vegeta, Nappa, and Majin Buu all worn out and beaten up. Majin Buu wasn't so bad since he can regenerate, but he still looked tired. Cell then charged and grabbed Broly. As Broly was about to throw him off, he said, "Now!" As Captain Ginyu would yell, "Change now!" As Captain Ginyu took his body, he felt the power. He felt the strength. He felt so great. And he could betray Cell. He thought about it, but then he realized something. Cell gave him this opportunity. Cell gave him his body. And ruling the universe would be kind of boring. So he decided to stay with it. He decided to stay loyal to Cell, at least for now. As then he blew up his old body with Broly in it, he then laughed and did an amazing pose. As they all said, "What the hell happened?" Cell then explained that Captain Ginyu had the power to change bodies. Captain Ginyu would then run up and hug Cell. As Cell was shocked, he didn't really like the hug too much, but he's like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. This body is so powerful and so great. Oh, I am proud to be a part of the Ginyu Force. And you shall know the Ginyu Force shall serve your empire very well." Cell then sighed and was like, "Yeah, I guess it will." As Cell and everyone else laughed, they did it. They defeated Broly and King Cold. Everything seemed like it was back to normal. As all that was going on, we cut to Champa. Champa has been at Universe 7 trying to steal Super Dragon Balls. As Whis was trying with Beerus, Beerus would look at him and say, "What are you doing, brother?" Champa would then look nervous and say, nothing." "Wait a second. You're trying to get a wish, aren't you? You can't do that." Champa and then Beerus would begin to argue. As Whis would, "That's enough. You guys are gods of destruction. You shouldn't argue like that," Whis would say. Beerus and Champa would then look at each other as they would sigh. Beerus would say, "I got an idea. How about we have a tournament instead?" Champa would then smirk and say, "You're on, big guy." As the Saiyans were all training, Beerus would come back to his planet. Cell really didn't train on Beerus' planet much. He trained here and there, but he preferred to train with Buu, and he preferred to look after his empire. At first, he didn't really like ruling an empire, but he's gotten used to it, and the title Emperor kind of excites him. It's probably the Frieza in him.
Beerus would look at them all and say, "Get ready, we're gonna have a tournament with Universe 6. They all looked confused. Universe 6? Beerus would then explain how there's a different universe and all that stuff. And they have to get Cell and Majin Buu. And they all nodded. And potentially Captain Ginyu. As all the Saiyans went to Cell's capital planet, Cell was with Buu. Buu was eating and laughing, and Cell was making jokes. Cell actually liked Majin Buu. Majin Buu and Goku, he kind of had a soft spot for. He practically raised Goku, and Majin Buu, he was his best friend. Goku would walk up and say, "Father, Beerus has a mission for you, a tournament," and he would explain. Cell would get excited. And for some reason, the idea of a tournament just felt familiar to him. He didn't know why. As he was excited, he agreed to join the tournament, as all the fighters began to get ready and eventually went over to the tournament. As they all arrived there, they would begin to look around as they saw Cabba. Cabba was just a little Saiyan. A Saiyan just like them. He didn't have a tail. This intrigued everyone. As he walked up, Nappa would say, "What happened to your tail, little runt?" He would say, "Tail?" Confused. Nappa would then say, "Whoa, your people don't have a tail. Interesting." Cabba would then tell him about his race and everything that happened. Vegeta and Nappa were shocked. Goku didn't really know anything about Sadala or anything like that, but Vegeta and Nappa told him about their story, about how Vegeta ruled and how they conquered another planet. Cabba was horrified. Saiyans don't conquer other planets. Vegeta said, "Don't worry, we don't do that much anymore, unless Cell needs us to," Vegeta said, smirking. Cabba then looked off a bit worried as he walked away. Eventually the tournament would start, and the first match would be Botamu versus Cell. As Botamu looked at Cell, Botamu would say, "Interesting, I've never seen anything like you before. What are you?" Cell would say, "I'm a bio-android, made of the DNA of the strongest fighters of the universe. I am perfect. No one can defeat me." Botamu would say, "Such a big ego, but you haven't fought anyone like me before." As Cell hit him, it bounced back. And when Cell blast a ki blast into his belly, it just bounced back. Botamu would say, "This is the secret to my power. Ki absorption. My body's so fat it absorbs anything. You can never defeat me." Botamu laughed as Cell looked at him and says, "Are you serious? That's it? That's your entire gimmick?" Botamu would say, "What are you talking about? That's kind of lame. I met people like you before." Botamu would say, "Hey, shut up. I'm not lame." Cell would then just kick him below his feet and knock him out that way. As Cell won, the next match was Cell versus Frost. As the battle began, Cell would look at Frost and say, "You could transform. I know about your transformation." Frost would go into his third form, which would annoy Cell. Cell wanted to fight him at his best. Cell then turned gold, which shocked Universe 6, and he would say, "I want you to fight me at your best, not this weak, lazy excuse for a form," as he hit Frost to the tournament floor. Frost then got up and transformed to his final form as they both continued to battle each other. But Cell was outclassing Frost in every way possible. His power was amazing. He would eventually go back to his base form, not wanting to waste energy. This pissed Frost off, though. This is basically saying that he wasn't even worth his new transformation. He wasn't even worth his golden form. Saying Frost was worth nothing, this pissed him off. And as they battled, Frost would then poison Cell, but since Cell had a healing factor, it didn't work. Frost would look confused. You're still up." Cell would say, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be?" As Frost would then get angry, but there was nothing Frost could do. If Frost yelled at Cell, it would blow his cover, so he just sighed and looked at Cell. "It was a good match, Cell, but I know I can't win. I had a fun fighting you, though." Cell would say likewise. As Cell then would watch Frost jump off the edge. As Frost sighed, "Sorry, Champa, I couldn't keep fighting. I was so tired. I know I disappointed you." Champa would be a little upset, but he would forgive Frost, since Frost was a good guy, and his cover wasn't blown. Everyone still liked Frost. The next match was Cell versus Cabba. As Cabba walked out, Cell then got a fighting stance and said, "Alright, you might as well turn Super Saiyan." Cabba would say, "What's Super Saiyan?" Cell would then look annoyed and sigh. "I guess that makes sense. You don't know that." Oh.
Goku, show him what Super Saiyan is, Cell would say. As Goku got up and turned Super Saiyan, Kaba looked shocked, and then Goku turned back to his base form. That's Super Saiyan, now show me it. Kaba would say, I can't really do that. Cell would then say, of course you can't. Well, then you're useless. Cell would then begin to beat up Kaba, mercilessly, not caring. But Cell was curious, could he turn Super Saiyan? Maybe if he got him angry enough he can turn. He began to beat him up, insult him, breaking his ribs, telling him he'll murder his family, all these horrible things. And as long as he didn't kill him, he was technically still in the rules. So Cell kept pushing Kaba more and more and more until Cell just got really bored. So he grabbed Kaba's arm and broke it, saying, after this is done, I'll destroy your planet. Then Kaba began to yell in anger, yelling in pain as he became a Super Saiyan and charged at Cell with one arm. For some reason, a one-armed Super Saiyan felt really familiar. Cell didn't know why. And Cell began to think about why it felt familiar. As Kaba tried to hurt him, he couldn't really do anything. He kept thinking, but he couldn't think of any. So Cell just turned gold and kicked him off the ring, winning the match. As Cell beat Kaba, the next match was Magetta, the giant metal man. As the metal man went onto the ring, he got ready to fight Cell, as he began to spit lava at Cell. But Cell would stand there and let the lava hit him, as then part of his body was burnt off. Everyone was shocked. Why would he let that happen? But then he regenerated. He just wanted to show off his regeneration, as he smirked and looked at the team. All of you guys have been pretty worthless. I hope that Hit fella actually packs a punch. As then Hit looked at him and smirked, saying, I'll pack more than that. As Cell began to charge a Kamehameha and blasted at Magetta. Magetta then shot magma straight from his mouth, as the magma hit the Kamehameha and caused a beam struggle. As he continued to shoot more and more magma straight at Cell. Cell was getting pushed further and further back, but then he charged all of his power, all of his strength into a Kamehameha, as it blasted at Magetta, knocking him off the edge. As Magetta fell off the edge, the next match was Cell versus Hit. This was the match Cell was waiting for. As Hit slowly walked on to the tournament. As Hit did a time skip, Hit and Cell. He would do this again and again and again until Cell would block it. Hit would look confused. How did you do that? Cell would smirk and say, simple, I predicted your moves, as he would turn gold. Cell and Hit would continue to push each other further and further, and Cell was having a great time. He was enjoying the battle, but Cell was running out of stamina, and he fought so many other people. He knew he couldn't win this fight, so he turned back to his base form and said, Boo, have fun, and jumped off the edge. This shocked Beerus, as Cell lost. The next match was Boo versus Hit. Hit would do time skip after time skip, but it didn't do much on Boo, and Boo was thin and strong, and Boo had many different abilities. He would split in half and do all these different abilities against Hit, but Hit would decide to build up time energy, trap him, and knock him out. Hit was getting more and more winded, though, as the next match was Hit versus Nappa. Nappa would look at it and say, alright, you ready for this old timer to show you what's for? Hit would say, you look young to me. Thank you, but I'm actually aging into my 90s. I just wish for eternal youth, so I really don't look like it. Nappa would laugh. Hit would say, that's nothing for a man who's 1,000 years old. Nappa would say, wow, 1,000 years old, you look great for your age. Hit would then smirk and say, my kind lives for a long time. As then they would both battle. As they battled, Hit got more and more tired. Hit battled Cell, Majin Buu, and now Nappa. Hit could defeat them all one-on-one, but not all at the same time. Hit got more and more exhausted until he fell off the ring. As Nappa won, Universe 7 won, and Beerus got the Dragon Balls. But Zeno still watched, and the Tournament of Power would eventually still be. Beerus and Whis would be relaxing when suddenly Whis got a phone call. It was from Zeno himself, and Zeno said, I want a big fun tournament with everyone in it. This shocked them. After that, Zeno quickly left, hanging up. Like a child, he only asks for what he wants and leaves. Beerus and Whis then begin to get nervous. Zeno is known for wiping out universes. You don't think he'll wipe everything out if we lose, will he? No, he couldn't. Anyway, it seemed that they were going to have to get a team ready. Beerus and Whis quickly flew to Cell's capital planet. As Cell was training, Beerus would walk up to him. Cell would then agree. As Beerus told him everything, Cell would then begin to gather his team. He gathered Captain Ginyu in Broly's body. Goku, Vegeta, Nappa, and the Ginyu Force all came under Cell's team. Cell was ready, and Broly and the Ginyu Force began to train the Time Chamber for quite a while until the tournament began, as all they could do was sit there and wait. Majin Buu also joined the team, and Majin Buu was quite excited. Buu was ready to fight some new people, and Cell was excited to see Buu in action. After all, Buu has many different abilities. Eventually, the time would pass, and the Tournament of Power was about to start. As they all arrived, they would look around and see all the other fighters. But one caught Cell's eye above everyone else, Jiren. Jiren looked serious. He was meditating, and he had this different aura around him, different from everyone else. Jiren was totally a different type of fighter. And as the ring was being set up, eventually the match began to start. As it started, Universe 9 decided to take a gamble. They heard about Universe 7, so they went all after Cell and Goku. Goku and Cell were back to back fighting Universe 9. The trio of danger charged at them. They tried to poison them, blind them, but no matter what they did, it wouldn't work. Cell and Goku had great teamwork, and they fought side by side for a long time. With their teamwork, they were able to slowly knock one by one off the edge. Eventually, they completely knocked out the Ninth Universe. As the Supreme Kai yelled, "How is this possible? 2 people destroyed my entire universe!" As then Zeno began to erase him, he felt his body slowly disappear as he screamed in agony and pain. As that was going on, we cut to Captain Ginyu. Captain Ginyu would be chilling with the Ginyu Force as suddenly the Pride Troopers would surround them. The Ginyu Force would charge at the Pride Troopers, using their own poses and own techniques against them. As Toppo looked at Captain Ginyu then did a pose. "You think you could beat me, Toppo?" Toppo would say, "I don't think, I know." As they started the class, Toppo would be winning at first, but Captain Ginyu knew how to tap into Broly's anger. When he was in the Time Chamber, he trained in that body for quite a while. He knows how it works. Not like when he took Goku's body in another timeline. Captain Ginyu was able to push back. Toppo would say, "Your poses are great, and the way you act is phenomenal. However, I can tell you're not fighting for justice. Why is that?" "Justice?" Captain Ginyu would say, laughing. "The poses are amazing, and I fight for my crew. But I don't really care much about justice. I care about having a good time. And really, isn't that what life's all about?" So you fight just for yourself, just to have a good time. That is selfishness." "Maybe, but I'm a selfish guy. I'm happy about it," Captain Ginyu says as he continued to battle him. Meanwhile, Nappa and Vegeta would start to fight Kale and Caulifla. As the battle began, Nappa and Vegeta were easily winning, pushing them further and further back. And Caulifla did tap into a rage mode, but it was nothing that they couldn't handle. Champa was getting more and more worried. Eventually would yell, put on the earrings," as they both stood up and began to put on the earrings. As they fused, they become Kefla. As Kefla formed, Nappa and Vegeta both walked back. She looked so powerful. What could they do? Kefla then began to beat them both up. As Beerus would begin to take off Supreme Kai's earrings, but Vegeta didn't want to do that. Vegeta didn't want to rely on anyone else's strength. Kefla then began to talk down to him, began to talk about how great she was. This pissed Vegeta off. He was the Prince of all Saiyans. "Enough," Vegeta would say. "I am the Prince of all Saiyans, and you dare talk to me like that? You two are just arrogant little brats, talking to royalty. I'm not gonna fuse with Nappa. I can take care of you by myself." He would begin to yell in anger, yell in strength, yell in pain, yell with everything he had, as suddenly he turned Blue Evolution. "I have something you don't, something that pushes me, something that makes me stronger, my pride." Even when Cell killed Frieza, even when I served under someone else, I still had my pride, and my pride pushed me further. No matter what happens, no matter what they say, no matter who wins this tournament, I am Vegeta, the Prince of all Saiyans, and nothing will change that, and nothing will change the things that I've done. As he began to yell, he charged a massive Big Bang attack as Kefla charged the Ki Blast, and they both began to hit each other. As Nappa joined Vegeta in the beam struggle, you may not want me, Vegeta, but I've always been here for you, even when you were a kid. And I will always be here for you, to the very end. As they kept pushing further and further and further with all of their ki, with all of their power, with all of their might against Kefla. Eventually, it broke off the edge and knocked Kefla out, as they both won, but they are extremely tired. Frost would take advantage of this, walking with Cabba. Frost managed to convince Cabba quite easily to follow him, since Frost, well, was never seen as a bad guy in this timeline because he was never exposed. As Frost kept on moving, though, suddenly, Cell would jump in. Well, you think you can pick my teammates off like that? He said, smirking, as he went into a fighting stance. I also look at him and say, sorry, friend, I know that's not really honorable, but I must take them out quickly, so we can win the tournament. If we don't, our entire universe will be destroyed. But then Cell just punched him as he was talking. Shut up and fight me. Frost then went into his buff form. As Cabba turned Super Saiyan, they both charged at Cell. Cell began to beat them both up though, and as they were beating them both up, they were getting pushed further and further and further to the edge. Cabba got angrier and angrier and angrier. He hated Cell. Cell broke his arm. Cell humiliated him. As Cabba began to scream, he turned Super Saiyan 2. As with this new transformation, he charges straight at Cell, punching him with all of his might, but it does nothing, as Cell just laughs and kicks him off the edge. And then he blasts away Frost. As this happened, Hit would walk up to Cell. Universe 6 has been falling quickly. He was going to have to do something. Meanwhile, Jiren watched Universe 7 battle Universe 11. As the Ginyu Force were knocking off the Pride Troopers, Jiren would show up and kick off Burta. Ildo would freeze time and be able to save Jace as they ran away. Jiren would say, pathetic. I can't believe you lost so many people to them, and you couldn't even wipe out that Captain Ginyu. Toppo would look down, disappointed in himself. As the match continued, Hit versus Cell, the rematch, finally was about to begin. As Cell began to fight Hit, Hit would lock him into a time prison, just like he locked up Jiren. It seemed like it was over, but Cell would push deep into his power, and he would awaken a great power, a power that he's been holding deep inside of himself, a power that he's been trying to awaken for a long time. Cell Max. As he reached maximum power, he then got out of the time prison and hit off the edge. As that was going on, the universe of love was fighting Majin Buu. Majin Buu would use his techniques to get away from them, cutting himself in half and splitting apart, using his techniques to fight against the love universe. But as all this was going on, Jiren would see this, and he would be interested in one person, Cell. As Jiren charged at Cell, Cell would dodge and kick him. As Cell and Jiren then began the battle, the entire universe is laid on the fate. If Jiren won, Universe 11 would win. If Cell won, Universe 7 would win. Both gave it their all, but eventually Cell would knock Jiren off the edge, winning the battle. After that, Universe 11 was quickly wiped out. There was battle after battle, but overall, Universe 7 won. And Cell was the VP, and after he won, he wished for all the universes to come back, so he could fight him again one day. However, this was a test. Cell didn't wish them back because he liked them, or because of noble purposes. He just wanted people to fight. However, because of this wish, he saved everyone. We cut to Granola. Granola heard about Cell employing Saiyans, using them to take over the entire universe. He used to use planets for livestock. Truly an awful guy. But he had no way to defeat him. Until one day, he had an idea, a plan. Granola heard about this prisoner, a prisoner so powerful he was locked away. If him and the Heaters could break him out, they could cause chaos. And with all that chaos being caused, Cell would be weakened enough for them to take him down. And Granola also has another ace up his sleeves, the Dragon Balls. Granola would go to the Heaters and explain the plan. They would agree. As all this was going on, we cut to the Galactic Prison. As the guards have been slaughtered, a hole is blown into the wall as they walk up to Moro. As Moro looked down at both of them, he began to smirk. Well, well, well. Why would anyone let someone like me free? It's to stop Cell. You've heard of him, yes? Yeah, he's had some people imprisoned over here, too. Ever since he defeated the Galactic Patrol, this has just been a base for political prisoners. And me. I've been tired of waiting, being locked up in this cell, all alone. I need something to do. I need something to eat, Moro said as he licked his lips. Granola and his crew would say, if you let us go, don't attack us. We have a plan. You'll make Cell weak and we'll take him out. Moro didn't really care about the plan. He just wanted food, so he let Moro go. Then Moro would leave to eat some delicious energy. After that, Granola would leave and search for the Dragon Balls. He needed those 2 Dragon Balls so he could become the strongest being in the universe. Moro would just weaken them, make them suffer, so then he can go in and get his revenge. He knew Moro would lose. Moro wasn't a true fighter. He was just someone who devours people. But it would make a good distraction. As Granola left, Moro would go to Namek. As all this was going on, we cut to Cell. Cell would be at his capital planet when suddenly the Supreme Kai Shin showed up. He looked distressed. He didn't want to do this. He hated Cell. He hated him how he turned Majin Buu into one of his puppets. He hated him how he absorbed people, how he turned plants into livestock. He hated Cell with every ounce of his being. And every time he interacted with them, his hatred just grew. He saw Cell as a selfish maniac who only cared about battle. But he needed him. He would look up and say, we need you. Moro is loose. Cell would say, Moro, that sounds familiar. I've seen him in files in Frieza's army. What does he do? He absorbs energy from everyone. Cell would then smirk and begin to laugh. What are you laughing? Oh, nothing. I have an ironic way to defeat him. Let's go. Captain Ginyu and Majin Buu with Vegeta would all go with him. He left Goku and Nappa behind in case someone would attack his capital planet. He needed to make sure that it was secure. Cell heard that the attack was happening on Namek, so him and his crew went to Namek. Meanwhile, we cut to Moro. Moro would be absorbing energy from a Namekian village. As all the Namekians slowly began to shrivel up and die, Cell would land there looking at Namek, remembering it when he went there before. He smiled. The Namekian inside of him was excited to see his homeland. He was also excited to fight this Moro. He wondered what type of powers he had. Was it just energy absorption, or did he have something more? Cell then had an idea, as he would fly into space and hide his energy, as he told Majin Buu and Vegeta to fight. As Majin Buu and Vegeta went, Moro would look at him. Oh, more energy to steal. They would then begin to battle each other. As Vegeta battled Moro, Vegeta would push further and further into his new power. He was trying to unlock Ultra Ego, but he didn't have it yet. Moro would continue to laugh as he began to steal energy from both of them, eating them up, devouring them from the inside. But this caused Moro to be distracted. Cell would close his eyes and take a deep breath. Cell's been practicing this for a while. He missed being able to absorb people. He doesn't really need to eat them anymore. He doesn't really feel the need for hunger like he used to, but it still gave him quite the advantage. So he's been practicing with his tail. He hoped this will work. As Moro was devouring them, getting his tasty snack, he wasn't looking behind him. Suddenly, Moro would feel sharp, deep pain in his back. As he looked behind him, it was Cell. As Cell began to suck in his life force. As Cell began to absorb him, he gained all of his power. Moro would scream and yell, "What is happening? This is what it feels like to have your life force stolen, Moro." Figured I'd give you a taste of your own medicine. Now, I'm not some goody two-shoes, and I'd probably do the same thing if I were you. I just want you to know that I'm perfect, and nothing you can do could ever defeat me. You're nothing but a relic of an ancient time that's gonna be forgotten and lost. Moro would scream in pain and agony as he was slowly absorbed, as Cell got all of his power. As that was going on, we cut to Goku. Goku and Nappa would be in the throne room, and suddenly, Granola would bust down the door, as he would smirk. Well, 2 Saiyans.
This will be perfect for my revenge. Goku would say, "Who the hell are you? I'm someone your race wiped out long time ago, and I'm here for one reason only, revenge." As suddenly he would power up. Goku would turn blue and charge at Granola, but Granola would simply kick him down. As Granola began to beat up Nappa and Goku began to get pushed further and further. He would remember his training as he would close his eyes and begin to slowly dodge Granola's attack. As Granola fought him, slowly Goku mastered it. Slowly Goku would go into Ultra Instinct. Goku's been trying to move and fight without thinking for a very, very long time, and finally he's been able to do it. This Ultra Instinct would push Granola back for a short while, and Goku would even seem like he's winning in times, but eventually his Ultra Instinct would kick out, causing him to fall back down. Granola would smirk and say, "I was holding back too. I wanted to make you feel like you were winning so I can kill you. But that didn't even work, considering your Ultra Instinct just ran out anyway." Suddenly, Cell and the others would arrive. As Cell would see Granola about to kill Goku, something would snap inside of him. As Cell would yell angrily and charge, punching Granola. "Do not take away my son," Cell said. As Granola got up and began to shoot ki blast after ki blast as Cell dodged it all. "Son, you're no Saiyan. That's ridiculous. You're just a monster playing make-believe." Granola would then get to beat them all up. Granola was too strong. He wished to be the strongest in the universe. However, Cell remembered something. He remembered he was made of Goku's DNA. And remembered the Kaioken. He's never tried it before, but it seemed like it was his only chance. As Cell yelled Kaioken, suddenly he turned, using the Kaioken in his Cell Max form. He then was able to beat Granola, charging it up as he ripped off one of Granola's arms. Granola fell to the floor and screamed in agony and pain. Cell then stood on his neck, snapping it, as he felt like he was the winner. However, what he didn't know was, soon after Granola made his wish, someone else made a wish too, as suddenly the heaters would come in, and gas would transform as his body began to decay. Cell would look at him, scared. As Cell and the rest of the Z-Fighters all charged in, Gas began to beat them all up. Cell went to Kaioken times 20, but even then, Gas was still stronger than him. Cell was pushing himself further and further and further to beat Gas, but no matter what it did, it seemed like it was useless. Gas would rip off one of his arms as Cell would heal it. Then, Gas would begin to laugh. "All of you will die, die, die! I hate you all! Ugh!" Vegeta then began to tap into his anger, tap into his strength, as suddenly his hair would turn purple as he unlocked Ultra Ego. Ultra Ego Vegeta would then charge a Galick Gun, as Cell would charge a Kamehameha right at Gas. As this would hit Gas, the rest of the team would all charge Ki Blast right at him. Gas would scream, "Gas can't die! Gas is strongest!" As Gas would fight against them all, his brain started to deteriorate more and more and more. He could barely even talk. As he fought against the Ki Blast, as he fought against the energy, his body began to decay, as eventually it was destroyed. All of the Ki embellished Gas. His entire body was destroyed, and they won. Eventually, as years passed, Cell would become a god of destruction, and the Saiyans would help him moderate the universe. Cell's rule was cruel but fair, and the Universe 7 mortal level was raised, and everything was at peace. And that's going to leave things off.